How's it going, folks? Recording another best ball draft. Doing a super flex again this time. It's actually the third one I've recorded, but it's only the second one on my channel because I recorded with the wrong mic once and it sounded terrible. So that was unfortunate. Got pick 105 here, so we'll be drafting a quarterback because I think, as we discussed in our very first video, we're a little ahead of the curve in saying that we thought quarterbacks would end up with slots 1 through 5, and they did. I have quite a bit of Jonathan Taylor from early on when you could kind of get an elite player plus two of the top, 13, which now I would consider top 14 QBs because I think there's a good enough chance that Watson gets a short to no suspension that you should probably be getting pretty aggressive with your Watson picks. I think I'm going to start trying to stack him with like DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, because Noah Fant, because I think that's like the best spot for him to end up with for fantasy. And then maybe also kind of considering the Carolina guys, as I think he's a little bit more likely to end up in Carolina than Seattle. But I think he would be better if he ended up in Seattle than Carolina. So here we'll be taking Kyler or Justin Herbert. I feel like the first 5 are fairly easy picks. And then at 6, it starts to get kind of tough if you're choosing between Jonathan Taylor or one of the next quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is now at quarterback 7. I saw him go 101 earlier today. My drafts have finally started to even out, so I picked twice 102 and once 101 today. I ended up with 2 Josh Allens and 1 Mahomes because in one of mine, someone took Aaron Rodgers 101, and I got Josh Allen at 102. So that was pretty cool. So now that we have Kyler, we want to kind of keep our eye on Hopkins as one of the guys we could draft. Also, Rondell Moore. I pretty much don't draft Rondell Moore unless I draft Kyler, so I don't really like his price. I do think he has a bit better of a ceiling, because Christian Kirk's probably gone and AJ Green's probably gone, so you would think that he would have to get a lot more targets, but where he's priced, I just also like the ceilings of those players too, and they probably don't have as low a floor as he has because there's a definite fat chance that he's just not good. But he's not good at the NFL level. A lot of the ways he won in college, just I don't know, I don't really see them translating that well. He was running over people at his size because he was, super strong for his size. But in the NFL, I just don't think he's going to be that much stronger than people, especially at his size. So we're pretty much, open to anything. I've been taking a lot of too early QBs and then a solid QB in round 6 or 7. By solid, I mean still not that solid, a Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, Jameis Winston type, and then only going with 3 QBs. And I've really, really liked the way my teams have looked when I've done that. You can push it a little later than that if you want, but then your whole team can kind of fall apart with one short-term injury. I don't really like that. I don't mind if, a long-term injury to one of your first picks is going to be just terrible for you in this type of a tournament regardless. So I don't really overwhelmingly worry about the longer-term type injuries, but I really don't like when I'm looking at my team and I'm like, wow, if this guy were to miss 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we'd be in a lot of trouble, which is kind of how I feel. You would be if you take 2 early quarterbacks and then wait too long on your third. If you're only going with 3, I don't mind waiting really, really long on your third if you're going to still go with 4 quarterbacks. Watson goes at the 201. That's absurd. I still think there's too much of a chance that he gets suspended. I'm not taking him there, but I would definitely take him mid round 2. I was definitely hoping we'd get him in our spot, but that's fine. Just hoping one person before us doesn't pick a QB. As far as Watson, I would definitely take Lance and Hurts over him. I think you should probably take Fields over him, but I think it's at least. I think after Lance and Hurts, Watson's pretty reasonable. I'm not going to argue too much. Looks like we're not going to get a QB here. We're going to have a rather tough choice between Justin Jefferson, Tyreek, Eckler, Najee. I'm pretty hard fade on Derrick Henry, so I don't think. I mean, this could be the one spot to actually go with Derrick Henry if we're. I think I'm just going to take Fields here, then. I just really like the way two top QBs, the values that you get in the next rounds when you don't have to worry about QB is just, it's crazy. The 2v2s that you end up looking at are stuff like, Justin Fields and DeAndre Swift, or Derek Carr and Najee and stuff like that. I definitely prefer the Fields and Swift, or Justin Fields and Saquon compared to Eckler and Derek Carr, things like that. Wow, Kirk Cousins went with the 2-9 after Justin Fields. To me, after Fields, there's a big tier break because of his rushing upside. So I would definitely take a position player at that spot. I would not take Kirk Cousins in round 2. I think Kirk Cousins, once you get into mid to later round 3, is pretty reasonable. I still kind of like Tannehill in that range too, because he's a guy that can have 6 or 7 rushing touchdowns, although he won't have a ton of rushing yardage. He'll have some rushing yardage. Javonte off the board. Nothing we have to look at too early as far as stacking goes, because I'm not going to take DeAndre Hopkins in round 3. So if he's there in round 4, we'll definitely consider it. Probably will take him in round 4, but I'm not taking him in round 3. Round 3, we might be looking at Diggs, Andrews, Debo, Mixon. Well, now I'll probably be taking a running back. I'm going to take Eckler and Najee Harris, whichever one falls to us here. Nice. So yeah, early on you could get a little bit better builds because, how I was saying, you could get Jonathan Taylor. You could end up with Jonathan Taylor and then Hurts and Fields, stuff like that. This is actually not that different a build than that. Because you couldn't get Jonathan Taylor in one of the top 5 QBs. I mean, maybe somebody did at one point, but I don't think that was regularly happening at any point. So you're still kind of getting similar builds when you do go early QB to, the stud plus 2 good QBs that you were getting back then. The start looks great. I'll definitely consider DeAndre Hopkins at my next pick if he's available, but I'm not going to lock myself into picking that. Tannehill and Carr in round 3, just look at the 2v2s that these teams have got going. I mean, oh well, I guess you can't look at the 2v2s when all they've done is draft 3 quarterbacks. So this is just terrible. Don't ever do this. This is so bad. So your third quarterback doesn't have much upside, right? And is blocked by if your other 2 guys play well. So you're assuring that one of your top 3 picks doesn't get in every week. Because all 3 of these guys can't score in the same week. While also passing on elite talent. It's not only that one guy doesn't score and that's the worst thing ever. It's also the quality of players that you're passing on in that situation. I would take Hopkins over Waddle or Higgins because I have Kyler. I would still be kind of open to a Swift or maybe Barkley. I think because we got Najee, we could lean towards wide receiver. It's going to be kind of not fun if I have to pick between AJ Brown and Hopkins. Still probably take Hopkins, but that one would feel great. Please take AJ Brown. Oh, thank God. The relief tonight. I don't have to feel terrible about taking Hopkins. Probably would have taken Hopkins, but definitely would have not enjoyed that. So we've got a nice little start here. We're not really forced to pick anything. If we end up with, around 6 or 7 quarterback, we might just only draft 3, which is kind of what I've been doing lately, and I've really, really been enjoying how those teams look. Sorry about that. I've been slightly less excited about Kyle Pitts lately. Like I got a ton of Pitts early in the regular big board, but looking at that team's offense, I realized that he would get like infinity targets, but my God, that team's offense looks bad. It concerns me a little right now that Calvin Ridley is definitely not back. They just have like nothing. They have like Kyle Pitts, and like Kyle Pitts is good, but I think last year kind of showed us that if all teams are trying to do is take away Kyle Pitts can be taken away. I am absolutely loving the value on DK Metcalf falling. I mean, it could be crazy. Like, what if Watson does end up in Seattle, and then like all these people that have been letting him fall into 5-6 are going to be taking him in like round 2 because they're like going to be scrambling to pick up shares of DK Metcalf again. So the way quarterbacks are going off the board, I would imagine that we're more likely to end up waiting and picking 2 kind of like later quarterbacks to go with our Kyler and Fields. Probably going to take DK Metcalf or Gibson here. Take DK Metcalf. I can't stop buying DK Metcalf in round 5 and late, especially mid to later round 5. Just going to keep buying them all. I don't think that, I mean, he was like good with like Geno Smith last year. I don't think there's any guarantee that like he's not just like fine with like any quarterback. And if Seattle does get like a Watson, or I mean, even if they get Malik Willis at this point, like I think Metcalf would shoot back up. Like I feel like there's almost no scenario where he doesn't move back up the board. Because like right now it's been treated like it's only Drew Lock is like the only possibility. I'm open to like pretty much any position here. I have tons and tons of Goddard in this contest. Really, really like Goddard, but I probably would not take him with my next pick. I'd definitely consider it the pick after, though. Basically, I'm not getting any Breece Hall in this contest, and it makes me want to cry because he's just gotten too expensive. And this is why, when I was made fun of a bit in the Spike Week for how much I liked Breece Hall and how much I said these rookies are going to move up, and people were kind of like, the rookie class is terrible. They're not going to move up. Yeah, well, most of them have gotten more expensive, and Breece Hall has gotten a lot more expensive. Kenneth Walker's starting to get more expensive. The one like still out there that hasn't really got more expensive is Spiller. And I like Spiller just fine. So I'm down for some Spiller. I'm not against Spiller. Here we could go running back. Also have some interest in Mike Thomas. There's Evans and Judy. I also have interest in Jameis Winston, but I think I would probably try to push that one more pick. Some nice running backs on the board as well. So we could kind of look at that. It'd be really hard to pass Cam Akers if he made it to us, but wow, Malik Willis off the board. All right, I'm going to take Cam Akers. So I've really been trying to get a lot of the Rams backfield, Akers and Daryl Henderson. I have a lot more Daryl Henderson than I do Akers, because he's like priced way too cheap. Well, we got Akers there, 11 picks after ADP. That was very nice. 7 picks away. I still have interest in Michael Thomas, Winston, Goddard. Winston goes off. So we're probably going to lock ourselves into going after like 2 rookie QBs or something like that. Or maybe like a rookie QB in Mariota. I think with the seats starting to fill up, there's like a lot of teams still that aren't really going to be super interested in a rookie quarterback for this year. Like particularly the Colts. So I kind of don't see where the Colts end up at quarterback other than Mariota right now. Like there's still like the rumors they could trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, which is definitely on the table. Then there's a chance they could sign Mariota. There's been some rumors that they have interest there. I suppose they could go after Winston. But like the Colts basically like they can't trade for Deshaun Watson because one, I don't think Houston's going to be interested in trading him in the division. And even if that wasn't a concern, they just don't have the first round picks to like make that trade even close to possible. So getting Mike Thomas here that is nice. I'm liking the way this team has started. Definitely liking it. Fields is like very difficult to stack because you really only have like Mooney and Kmet as chances, and it seems like most of my drafts Kmet goes kind of higher than his ADP, which obviously can't be always happening because then that wouldn't be his ADP. But just so happens that the drafts I've been, Kmet always seems to be going higher than his ADP. So even in these 20-round drafts, I really haven't been handcuffing any running backs or anything like that. I just still think it like lowers your ceiling too much and don't have much interest in it. Could take Mooney at our pick if he's still available. The nice thing about tight end right now is like with Fant falling, and it's really like not that hard to get like tight ends a little later that you still like feel pretty good about. Definitely like Dalton Schultz a ton with like what's going on in Dallas. Cooper being traded to the Browns and Gallup possibly starting the season off slow. I mean, he's not even signed yet, but I think most people are assuming that that's going to happen. Schultz goes off, so I think we're down to Knox. So we are going to have to keep our eye on quarterback a little bit because they are going off so much higher. So I will actually consider a quarterback here. I think it wouldn't be insane to pick Kenny Pickett and go with a 3 quarterback build. Because I think Kenny Pickett has like a much higher chance to start week 1 than Howell, Ritter, and Corral do, just due to like his age and experience. And he's projected to go a little higher in the draft, so like the chances that he falls to like past pick 20 are much lower than those other 3 guys. So right now I've got kind of locked in is like Mooney, Kenneth Walker, and just take Mooney. It's fine. Pickett. So we got Mooney to go with Fields. We got Hopkins to go with Kyler. So that's pretty sweet. I haven't heard pretty much like any rumblings about what could happen at tight end. I think a couple tight ends that are becoming interesting because one guy, because of how he played at the combine, Jelani Woods, I think will be on teams' radars, and I think he's a guy that could get on the field fast and have like a huge impact. So like Jelani Woods as like a last round tight end, if I'm going with 3 tight ends, is a little interesting to me. And then Gerald Everett is just like basically like being thrown into the abyss. Like he doesn't exist anymore just because he's not currently on a roster. And Gerald Everett will almost for sure be on a roster. Right now, AJ Dillon, Kenneth Walker are definitely the 2 most interesting players to me. Then kind of a big gap. Gonna go with either AJ Dillon or Kenny Pickett with this pick. I do think that there's like some running backs I could get a little later that I still like. Wow, that was the longest this draft has frozen in a long time. I'm going to take Pickett here. I do think we can actually just go 3 quarterbacks if we want to now. Something I'll probably lean towards, but I'm not 100% sure. If I can get like really, really good value on Mariota, he's a guy that I'm trying to like pick up a couple extra shares of. So, but like he's also seems like other people are doing that as well. So I'm definitely not going to take him unless it's what I feel is like a good value pick. Still don't have a tight end yet, so it's something to keep an eye on. Probably either be picking tight end or running back with my next pick. Pretty good at wide receiver, pretty good at quarterback, so. Probably take like Spiller, Freiermuth, and we'll have to look, see how many people go off the board. I guess we still kind of want Cole Kmet too. I really want Cole Kmet as my tight end 1. Wouldn't mind Cole Kmet as my tight end 2 to go with Fields and Mooney. Penny and Sanders and Spiller are always all pretty interesting to me. So now I'm down to kind of like Penny and Spiller that are pretty interesting to me. So now I'm down to like Spiller as the running backs to rip off the board. So if Spiller goes, I'll probably just take a tight end. I prefer Freiermuth to Gesicki myself, but I'm going to take Spiller because it's a tier break at running back for me after him. I do realize like the testing stuff at the combine wasn't great for Spiller, but he was dealing with a mild injury, and like just look at what's happening with Hall and Walker, and like I don't think NFL teams are going to freak out about the fact that he did 2 events terribly when he had a minor injury. Like he's still supposed to be back. There's still like analysts out there that I trust and follow that still have Spiller as like their running back 1. I mean, I don't. He's my 3, and like he's a tier behind the other 2. But like the way he's just kind of being like left for dead, I think this is like, you know, your last chance to start to grab value on some of these, on him in particular, and some of these other rookie running backs, because there's like another batch of like 4 rookie running backs where they could still have a pretty wide range of outcomes on their on where they end up. Huh. I like Allen Robinson quite a bit of what's left. could put ourselves in kind of a desperate situation at tight end if we take Allen Robinson. But I'm going to risk it. I don't feel like I need to, I'm definitely not considering Allen Robinson a bear who will end up somewhere else. But I'm willing to risk getting pretty ugly at tight end. So what we'll do is I think we're just going to take just the 3 quarterbacks. I really feel like it's almost a lock that Kenny Pickett starts week 1 for whatever team he ends up on. So I think what we'll do is just only take 3 quarterbacks, and then we'll take 3 tight ends. Maybe take some gambles that we like at tight end. You could still make a group of Gronk and Njoku and I don't know, Gerald Everett or Jelani Woods or something like that, and have a pretty reasonable tight end group. So obviously we would prefer Kmet to fall to us, but don't really think that that's super likely. Or Noah Fant. If I have to choose between Fant or Kmet, even though I have a stack with Justin Fields, I would take Fant. I think Fant is way, way better than Kmet. So that's not one where I will let the stack influence me. Yeah, Mariota went pretty high here, around 12. So people are picking up on the fact that he's getting a little bit more likely, it seems, day in, day out to end up as a starter. Fant off. So we're looking at Ertz, Kmet, or not a tight end. Wouldn't hate getting Rondell Moore either. No Rondale. Madison's one of the strong backups I haven't gotten as many shares of as I would like. Ertz goes. So unless this guy wants 3 tight ends, it's we could luck into completing our stack and getting Kmet at value. That makes me super, super happy that I took Allen Robinson the round before. Cool. So I still think we're going to go 3 tight ends, even though we got Kmet here. Probably just going to stop with Murray, Fields, and Pickett. Keep in mind, you have 3 teams that advance in this tournament instead of 2. So getting slightly more gross at quarterback than you're really comfortable with could work out for you. Sam Howell's still out there, Desmond Ridder. So there are actually still 2 quarterback picks that I would consider. Though that might hamstring us a bit on roster spots at tight end, but definitely like those 2 quarterbacks quite a bit. So we're just going to have to be looking at the board and seeing, is there anything we love out there? If there's stuff that we love, then we definitely don't need to take a 4th quarterback. If we're looking at the board and we can't even figure out what we want, then we might take a 4th quarterback. Right now, I've got my eye on Jameson Williams, Darrell Henderson. I think after that, I might take Howell or Ridder. I'm not all that big on Irv Smith. I'm fine with him, but I actually prefer Gronk to Irv Smith. I think Irv Smith and Evan Engram are similar bets. I prefer Njoku to Irv Smith. It kind of sucks that Njoku went back to the Browns, but I do expect that he'll be in kind of, the same role as last year, which was not amazing or anything. Darrell Henderson goes. Howell went. I think Jameson Williams is like the only player on the board that I'm like super excited to pick, so let's do that. Our wide receiver room is pretty nasty. Jameson Williams has a ton of late season upside. So the only quarterback I think left that I would consider is Ritter. Guess there's Taysom Hill, but I feel like that ship has sailed in New Orleans. Could be wrong though, that's for sure. And he was definitely could smash if we're wrong. There goes Irv. So kind of a little interesting Gronk when it gets back to us if he's still there. Whew. Still can't believe we got Michael Thomas at past ADP. I've been trying to get him so much. I've been having to reach for him a little bit. Definitely like the way this team looks. A little gross at running back, but it's not too bad. Glad Darrell Henderson didn't fall to us in that one round because I might have taken him for getting ahead Cam Akers. I haven't not done that yet, but it might have happened. So I definitely forgot that I had drafted Cam Akers in this draft. So as far as stacking goes, we're looking nice. Obviously, we have no clue what team Pickett's on. Chance he could be on New Orleans. So that could be a thing. Gronk goes. That's kind of a bummer for us. Could go with like Evan Ingram, Trey McBride, Njoku. The Higbeast. The Higbeast was very not good last year. I don't think I have a single share of him, so if he fell to me a value, I might grab one. There goes Ritter, so I think we can just do this. Get quarterback out of there. There was Higbee. Probably just take Evan Ingram or Njoku. I have like a lot more Njoku. There's still some places that Evan Ingram could end up where he'd like spike in value, like the Chargers and stuff. So let's do that. We're really quite good at wide receiver. We could kind of like wait till late to take another one. From the way things are looking, I think we're going to need extra dart at running back, so we'll probably go with 3-7-7-3. As long as we can get another tight end that we like, even want to gamble on, which could be hit or miss. I think all the guys down to Brevin Jordan I like, and then I have some interest in Gerald Everett and Jelani Woods a little bit later. We're up in a couple picks. Between Brian Robinson and Zamir White, I'm not sure which one I like best, but I like both of them like a lot. I think Zamir White and Brian Robinson, like, they both have it in their range of outcomes to end up being drafted as like the third running back in the NFL draft. Depending on if teams are actually spooked by Spiller or not. But like those guys also just have attributes where teams might just like them more. Trey McBride's kind of interesting to me. I feel like him and Brevin Jordan are sort of similar bets, but got my eye on McBride for my next pick, but good chance he may go off the board before we pick. Goes Sky Moore. One guy that's fallen crazily in these drafts that I think is like wild value right now is David Bell. He's going in like the 200s now. That doesn't make any sense to me. I realize he like tested poorly, but like we already knew he was not an athletic freak of any stretch of the imagination. So I don't know. I don't think NFL teams are going to freak out about it as much as the drafting community is currently freaking out about it. Like David Bell still did absolutely beastly things in college. There is a good chance he could be like an N'Keal Harry, like just complete dud because he has to win with contested catches and those sort of things. But the price he's going now, it just feels kind of crazy. Got my eye on Njoku, McBride, and Dotson. Because we could get David Bell later, I think I would rather just take a tight end. Dotson goes before our pick anyway. Could also wait around and try and get Brevin Jordan if there's something else we really like. I think my favorite running back on the board at the moment is Zamir White. It's kind of like, would I rather have Zamir White and Brevin Jordan or one of these tight ends and a worse running back? There goes McBride. I might be getting forced into like Brevin Jordan either way. Don't like Tanyan that much or Dan Arnold, but I think that they're both reasonable for third tight ends. I definitely don't want to like reach to get Brevin Jordan, so I'm just gonna take Zamir White. Got a lot of rookie running backs, but I think that's fine. You really only need like one of them to smash and a second one to be like okay for that to work out. I would like to kind of round out the group with a veteran or two now that we have three, as opposed to going with even more rookies, but it'll kind of depend on what's available for us. So for tight end, we have Tanyan and Brevin Jordan, and then hideousness after that. Still David Bell that I would like to get, but I don't know. I think I would definitely would take Brevin Jordan over him. I don't know if I would take Tanyan. I don't really know why I'm as low on Tanyan as I am. I think it's just like when he played last year, even that wasn't that he looked kind of bad. So I'm probably just too low on him, to be honest. So here I'm either going to take Brevin Jordan. If he gets taken, then I'm going to take David Bell. So Kmet, Ingram, Jordan, at least we've got some upside there at tight end. I mean, it's not pretty. I'm not going to lie. It's not pretty at tight end. But, we got two stud quarterbacks and a nice solid third that we believe will have a starting job. Running back, we've got two studs and then a bit of a wishing well, although Akers himself is a bit of a wishing well. But, I mean, if Akers goes badly, I'm in great shape because I have like 26% Darrell Henderson between all contests. So I would not be a sad man if things do not work out for Akers. Wide receiver group is insanely strong. Hopkins, Metcalf, Michael Thomas, Mooney, Allen Robinson, Jameson Williams. Well, we don't need to pick any more tight ends, so we're down to running back and wide receiver. Boo, someone took David Bell. think Lazard will make it to us. I don't really understand when people keep taking Jerick McKinnon. Is Gerald Williams like free agent? Drake's a bit interesting. He could get used more with a new coaching staff. Plus, could end up more of the main handcuff for Josh Jacobs. That didn't work out last year when Josh Jacobs missed a little bit of time, but I guess I had a new coaching staff, so. Her queue is very unexciting right now, as it is Sony Michel alone. Justin Jackson's been very, very good when Eckler has missed time, but he just constantly gets hurt himself. Zach Moss is a little bit interesting, I guess, but I assume the Bills seem to have the drumbeat going towards that Zach Moss is going to end up as their RB3, at which point I don't want him at all. Mainly because they reportedly were one of the teams that made an offer for Saquon Barkley. Then there was some rumors that didn't really have anything you could substantiate that they were interested in McCaffrey. But they've also, been linked to Christian Kirk and Rob Gronkowski. So I do think it looks like the Bills are after more weapons. Don't want to get rid of it's like Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders will be moving on. We've got 3 more picks to make here. I have noticed there's still a good amount of dead teams in these tournaments, so I think this tournament is actually still pretty good to keep drafting. Especially when the top quarter of your league advances. Just having good structure and a few good stand picks, I think you can just make profit on this tournament without having a super high finish in the last round. I mean, that's obviously what we're shooting for, but it's just nice to know that there's probably a little bit of an extra path to profit in this tournament compared to others. Probably going to take one of these 3 running backs. Pretty happy to get Sony there. Sony has been pretty productive. The NFL seems to like him a lot more than fantasy people do. I noticed that Khalil Shakir is no longer has an ADP. I'm not really sure why that would be. Still a guy I like quite a bit. I think if all 3 of those, I guess we could put McKissick in here. Don't really love McKissick and Hines in this type of contest. It seems like cutting off one starting spot by having an extra quarterback starting, to me, kind of hurts those guys. Especially with the way these teams are being drafted, with running backs being prioritized over wide receivers, since wide receivers are going down to 2 slots like running backs. It also seems like it's going to be harder for these guys to fight their way up the pass catching backs. So I've generally just been taking shots on more guys that I think can be 3 down backs, like Spiller, Robinson, White. I'm not sure White could be a 3 down back, but more of the guys where that could be a possibility. Definitely have to consider Algier if he was there, even though that would be our fourth rookie running back, just because still got a ton of upside. He's another guy like didn't test amazing, but like it's not like he tested badly. He just tested like average. So I have pretty much my second tier of running backs as Rashad White, Algier, Brian Robinson, and Zamir White. Justin Jackson goes off. All right, I'm just going to take another rookie in Algier. And then we'll take a 7th wide receiver as our last pick. Do we have anything up here that matters? Not really. We could take that Antoine Wesley character, but I think that there's just like some better picks out there. Terrace Marshall's a little interesting to me now. Actually, that's enough wide receivers that we should have one come back to us. Then we'll kind of make up our mind. Let's take a look at our wide receiver group. I think it's like pretty open for us to take any like sort of archetype of player. I guess I'm kind of leaning towards Wandell because he's a guy I absolutely despised at his old ADP and big board. So I think I took him twice or once in the whole big board draft. So now that he's like falling, I don't mind taking some shots on him with his alligator arms. So overall, I like this team. I don't think it's amazing, but I definitely think it's very, very good. If we would have maybe made a detour for an elite tight end at some point, then this team could have been amazing. I just don't think any of these guys have like a super high range, super high ceiling in their range of outcomes. So for this team to win, we would probably need like 2 of these guys to just end up being like very good. Not awesome, but just like very good. I think it's pretty unlikely that happens. But love our wide receivers. I absolutely love this group. Has basically like all of my favorite guys at the moment. Like my favorite guys at the moment are like DK, Michael Thomas, Allen Robinson, Jameson Williams. Those are 4 guys I'm targeting a lot. I don't think I've gotten all 4 of them in like any drafts before this one. So I'll probably I think we could take John Jennings off of this list. I think I like Jelani Woods a little bit more than Weidermeyer. I do think Weidermeyer is more likely to go earlier in the NFL draft than Woods, but like I think Woods has like some freakish qualities where he could like hit and then just like go nuts. Like who he reminds me of a bit is like Julius Thomas when he was with Denver. So he had like a huge uptick in his college usage this year. We probably start to cut off a couple of these people. I have tons of Shakir, so I don't need to get more Shakir. Probably take one of these 3. I'm just going to take Wandell because, like I said, I don't really have much Wandell at all. So I'll take him in round 20. So overall, I'd give this team like a solid B plus, but it definitely has a few flaws. Thanks for watching, folks, and good luck in your drafts. I might do another one of these videos in the next couple days. We'll see. I think I'm only going to do like 3 more Superflex drafts, and then if I get interested again during free agency, when free agency opens, I might do some more, but I kind of had planned to stop it at the point when free agency comes in, because I think then like every quarterback that has like a solid job is going to just be insanely priced, and then like all your kind of wishing well quarterbacks that you were hoping might get starting jobs are going to kind of get blocked off, and it'll probably become kind of obvious how many rookie quarterbacks are going to have slots. So I don't know. I think the tournament will be less interesting to me then. But again, thanks for watching, and good luck in your drafts.